Paul here from House of Mouse Racing. Today we're going to do Hellcat 101. This is just a basic description for guys that want to do a quick Gen 3 Hemi slash Hellcat swap into a classic vehicle and or first gen Dodge pickups. This is just to give you a basic idea of what you got to go through, some of the parts. Aftermarket is coming out with stuff daily for these now, so I've been doing them for about 3 years. Basically simple stuff now, so this is just for quick, easy, no computer guy kind of programmers. If you're looking for just a basic install, we can get you going here pretty quick. You have two choices. Either you can buy new or used. I do used. Blocks are basically the same, the 5.7, 6.1, 6.4, and the 6.2 Hellcats. Everything basically is going to fit the same. Motor mounts, depending on your application, what fits. Wiring is basically the same between a new and a used engine, so it's not going to matter too much for you. First thing will be the air compressor or air conditioning compressor. That will not work on most applications, especially the Hellcat, because it's a variable rate. You need a fixed rate like off a 300 Chrysler or something. So make sure what you're getting will work. Mopar Performance does sell the correct kit for these as well. Basically, you can use the factory computer. You just got to get it retuned. There are companies out there like Hemi Tuner Performance and a bunch of other ones now that you just send them and they'll give you a standalone program in it to make it work. So you don't need any fancy programmers and do all this. Send it to them, bring it in, plug it in, and just start it. Mopar wiring harness is the best thing to get. There are other companies, but if you buy the kit, it comes with wiring, whether you get it with the motor or not. On a used one, works the same. So, but it does have a couple other wiring kits in there, so you can work it into your factory wiring harness of your car. So you're just needing ignition, 12 volts, crank, 12 volts, power ground, a few other little things. So quick on a few of the details. This on the back is the Supercharger. There's an intercooler manifold that is for this. The factory one is a lot wider, as you can see. So you'd run into clearance problems. So Schwartz Performance, and I'm sure there's some others now that make a new manifold kit for the backs. Makes it a little smaller so you don't have to modify your firewall. This case, I'm doing it on this car, but I've run this setup in a 68 Cornet, 70 Duster. This is a 70 Cuda, and I have a 78 Dodge first gen pickup truck that's done with a Hellcat. So, and I've moved some of the firewalls, others I have not. Basically, again, the motors are the same. This is running a GM transmission, a 4L85E from Gearstar. He makes the best for me. For my application, works off a standalone little CompuShift controller, which is Bluetooth, so you can just do it on your phone. Set up program, it's all in there. You can adjust it on the fly, all kinds of parameters. Real easy to do, nothing crazy. Again, you can just do this at home. You don't need a laptop, don't need any of that crazy. They work quick, goes in, just requires an adapter plate. Some of the transmissions, depending on what you do, you have to grind that off the block where the oil pan is. For this driver's side location, I know a couple of the Mopar ones that have the same problem. You have to run mini starters and they do it sometimes, so it may be something you have to do ahead of time. So just trim it off flush with the block. Any other transmissions are fine. I know some guys are starting to use the 8 speeds out of these from the original transmissions. There are a bunch of companies that sell them and they have controllers for them now. You can run I think the R70s or the Mopars. There's a bunch of other ones. So, and then you have manual choices. When you get into the transmission tunnels, most of them will fit. Some you'll have to clearance. On these, I just recess them back, make a little bit more room. Sometimes you'll have to cut where the floors intersect, where that little flange is. Sometimes that hits the transmission. So certain trannies you may have that, some you may have to open them up. Sometimes you have to clear for cooler lines that would be around in here to give you enough room depending on the transmissions, but nothing major. You can usually get away with it and don't have to change your console carpeting. A couple of the other little things is the oil pans. They have center and rears. There are differences between the Gen 3 Hemis. So if it's a Hellcat, it takes one style pan. All the other versions take it different. It's just a different bolt pattern on the front part of the motor. But yes, there are different oil pans, different pickups. Make sure you get the right one. This is running stock pulleys. You can buy all the different versions that are out there now. Pin the crank if you do it so the crank doesn't spin. Alternator would go in this location. Yes, it does clear. Certain applications you may have to clearance a little bit. I know on trucks I had to clearance the frame just slightly for it. This runs TTI headers because of the tubular engine mounts. This is a Riley Motorsports altercation frame that's in here, so there's no torsion bars. So they make kits for this. You can get them with torsion bars too if you need those. Doug makes stuff too. I think Hooker makes stuff. Holly now got big into the truck market for first gen, so they make a whole motor mount kit, headers, the whole works. So if you're looking for that, check with Holly. Again, the air conditioning compressor you may have to change if you're running it. You will have to wire it your own way because the Mopar Performance makes it a little difficult for you. But all the wiring's same, all plugins, everything's going to be the same for you here. So you have your choice of running all the little stuff if you get a used engine. So like I use the factory radiator condenser. In this case, I'm running intercoolers. Will be down in here in this spot. They've already been made and they're going to be fitted into the front valance. So I run the oil cooler and the intercoolers, one on each side. You don't have to run the oil coolers if you're not road racing it and beating the hell out of it, but there are kits for it. You can do anything aftermarket too. You don't have to use the factory stuff. It's just easier. If you get a wreck, you can use a lot of the pieces. You will not be able to use the factory computer from the wreck without getting it reprogrammed because it needs to see all the additional body modules in the car for taillight resistance, foot on the brake, and a lock brake system. So best just to keep the factory computer or get the Mopar Performance crate kit and you're good. Most of it standalone. Power steering, you can buy the line, just use the end and you can adapt it to your factory or to the rack and pinion, which I do. You will have some clearance issues regarding a wiper motor. B bodies, the 3-speed seem to fit well. The E bodies, 2-speed seem to fit okay. This one's getting relocated to the inside of the car. Also, you will have problems when it comes into the master cylinder and booster because of your clearance to the valve covers. So the mini ones seem to work fine. You can get them, they'll just sneak in. I run an electric master cylinder, so there's a pump and reservoir that I hide somewhere on the vehicle. I have one on a truck right now, which works better than a Hydro Boost system, which is another option you can use, but you have all the unsightly lines coming all over your engine to the front to your gearbox. So, give you some shots over here. Fuel rail, nothing crazy. You can buy all the stuff. They make tanks, makes for chargers and e-bodies. There are already EFI tanks with the pumps built in for them. You need like 450 liters a minute. So it's not a horrible big deal. So, and I believe that's enough to get you through, but if you have any other questions, shoot me an email, houseofmouseracing, and we'll try to answer them for you. But this gives you a general idea of what you need to do and how to get it in a car and what it looks like and how much room you have. So